about why I give. And do we have a picture?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So Karen said, well, just tell us about why you give and how you've been involved in causes. And I said, okay, I will. And I had a think. And she said, well, think about what motivates you to give. And I don't know if you guys have seen this film, but it's called Inside Out, and it's the newish Pixar film, and it's brilliant, and you should go and see it. And the premise of it is that we've all got these little people in our heads who are emotions, and they control what we do and why we do it. And so you've got, this is joy, and this one's anger, and this one's sadness, and this one's disgust, and this one's fear. And I think it's actually a very powerful metaphor, and it's very interesting as a story about why I give and my experience with giving. So I was thinking right back to when I started getting involved in causes when I was very young, because I had very activist parents, which was brilliant. And for me, I was thinking, what's the first memory I have of giving or being involved in giving? And it was a Blue Peter bring and buy sale for a pump in Bangladesh. And I remember being really excited, and I saw it on Blue Peter, and I was like, obviously I have to do this, and got really excited. And we went, I think we took our toys and sold them and were really delighted, and then watched the Blue Peter, and then the little pump with how much the total was went up, and I didn't really understand money, so I probably thought with most of us, I'm selling my toys, I'd done all that on my own, and it was really exciting and wonderful, and that was amazing for me. And I think that's my furthest back memory of causes. And then as I grew up and I did all kinds of things, like went on the anti-Iraq War March and joined this Amnesty International Society at school, and it was all really, really joyful. It was this lady, the whole thing was being really joyful, and it was great, and I loved being involved in causes and giving, and it was great. And then I got a bit older and it got a bit more complicated, and it didn't really feel like it was about joy anymore. It actually was about some of the other things. And this one's disgust, but I was grown up in an Irish Catholic family, so I'm going to say that one's guilt. We're very good at guilt. And for me, that was so that I started to move away from being joyful, actually, in the way I was involved in a lot of causes. So part of it was anger. So maybe for me, like the campaigns around child marriage, it's something that I give to because I'm very angry. And I think that's okay. I think it's actually fine to be angry sometimes about things that should make you angry. But it certainly isn't a joyful experience, giving because you feel angry about some injustice. And then similarly, sadness. So when I walk past a homeless person on the street and I feel very sad, and then I donate to Centrepoint or one of the other amazing, like Shelter or one of these, because I feel sad, and that's a response to sadness. And again, I think it's important to feel sad, and we should be devastated when we see devastating things. And then part of it as well is fear. So thinking about how much you do in the world, and how much you can volunteer and donate and be on boards and all these things, because you don't want to do nothing, and you don't want your life to have meant nothing. And I think that's a very personal reason to give, and it's not always about the cause you're giving to, but it's about you and wanting to do something that's more than yourself and being afraid of doing nothing. And then guilt, yes, my Catholic friend guilt. So sometimes it's because I've got these direct debits because I feel guilty about my life and how lucky I am, and all of those are reasons that I think are fine, actually. I think those are good motivations as well. It's good to have these little people in your head saying you should be angry, do something because you're angry. But I was thinking, well, what is it that I do that makes me joyful still in giving? And I looked back and I thought, well, I love TFN. TFN is a really joyful way to give. And then I thought about the bring and buy sale, and when I was a young person, and Amnesty International and these things, and I thought, what was it about those that was joyful? Why is that joyful, the way I give, and some of the other things aren't? And I thought, actually, it's about doing it with other people. And I think for me, that's the magic of TFN, is that you could write a check and you could up your direct debits and you can do those things, but it's joyful because it's with other people. So you are in a room, and you're in a room with people who also want to do good, and they might also feel guilty or afraid or angry, and that's fine. But feeling all those things together, so standing up here and having delicious canapes and feeling guilty about that when you see some of the awful projects, we all feel guilty together, and so that in itself is joyful. And I think for me that's the absolute magic of TFN, and it's why I'm addicted to TFN, and it's why I hope all the new people will also be addicted to TFN.